Post details the fraught history between Iran and the Taliban. And as the Taliban seizes more and more territory, including a key border crossing with Iran, the Iranian president-elect and the supreme leader are striking a friendlier tone. An ultra-conservative Iranian newspaper with ties to the government proclaimed, quote, "The Taliban today is different from the Taliban that beheaded people." So the Washington Post article was written by Miriam Berger, who is joining me now to talk more about this. So Miriam, why is Iran softening its tone towards the Taliban?
Well, thank you for having me on. The swift takeover of territory by the Taliban has caught lots of different actors a bit by surprise. And so the Iranian leadership has for several years now been developing ties with pro-Tehran factions of the Taliban. And now they see it as in their perhaps better interest to, have sort of a foot in the door, somewhat friendlier relations, and that the Taliban are going to be there to stay to some degree in the Afghan government going forward. And that it's better to have them there than to have chaos and civil war and perhaps the sort of emboldenment of other extremist groups who the Taliban have themselves been fighting, who Iran also opposes.
The intelligence community here has sort of warned that the Afghan government may not be able to hold on to power for as little as 6 months, maybe 12 months after the U.S. Withdraws. Is there a possibility that Iran could become maybe a major player or influencer in Afghanistan once the U.S. has left?
I mean, they definitely would like to be. They just this week or on Wednesday hosted the Iranian officials in Tehran hosted Afghan and Taliban officials for some talks. Afghanistan and Iran have a long history going back. Iran doesn't have the same kind of proxies that it has in other countries like Syria and Lebanon, so it doesn't have that kind of foothold. But I mean, there's with the U.S. leaving, there's a very, very big void that many groups are seeking to try and fill and to get their leverage in.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing, though. Iran is Shiite. The Taliban is Sunni. So they sort of, at least theirs are kind of at odds ideologically, if you will. What was the relationship like between Iran and the Taliban before, when the Taliban had control over Afghanistan?
Yeah, the two groups, have long not gotten along. Obviously within the Taliban, there are different factions to it.